Certainly another aspect in our design of network infrastructure security is that we need to analyze risks to the current IT administration. And the reason why we need to do this, we certainly need to do this as we are looking at our own organization as part of the IT department, but also if we're brought in as an outside consultant, we need to look at this as well. And that is because the IT department generally has the most access and the most knowledge about the systems and the data that a company needs, and certainly they're not above making mistakes as well, and certainly you need to put your own house in order before you go out to other departments and help them design their security. So in this endeavor, what we're doing here is we're evaluating and gathering data about the current administrative structure of the information technology in any given organization. To help you do this, you want to generate a list of key personnel, and what you're essentially looking for is an organizational chart. But that organizational chart, remember, can be management-based. In other words, describing the flow of decisions that drive the business, but also you want to look for an organizational chart that will define the IT infrastructure and that will define the flow of information. And those two are going to look very, very different. It's rare that the CEO of a company, for example, will also be in charge of managing and maintaining the data of that organization. So you want to determine who your key players are, what authority they hold in the IT infrastructure. You also want to try to generate a chart of network and Active Directory responsibilities. So who is in charge of adding users or changing passwords and things of that nature? You want to determine the permissions and the privileges for the different people and entities in your network. So again, we're looking for a bit of an organizational chart here, but we're specifically looking for who can do what to what objects in our network. With this information in hand then, we can then usually generate some kind of a logical diagram that will identify all of the divisions in an organization and furthermore, what administrative needs they have. Do we need an IT resource deployed for a particular department in our network to handle things like changing passwords or resetting locked accounts or issuing smart card certificates? Those are the kinds of things that can help be determined with this logical diagram. And then finally, we look at where the security boundaries lie in our network. And the security boundaries in an Active Directory environment, a Server 2003 Active Directory environment, are forests and domains. Very briefly defined here, domain is a logical organization of users and computers, the things in your network. A forest is a hierarchical arrangement of domains. And the reason why it's important to determine these security boundaries is because you may need to either change or modify or just be aware of the security boundaries that exist because customer or legal or political or language-based or internal directives may require that you use multiple forests to separate things out in a security boundary. You also need to be aware that in a forest, for example, you could have potentially a single administrator with wide-ranging privileges throughout other domains. And that especially is true for members of the Enterprise Administrators Group. That is a universal group that really has privileges throughout the entire enterprise. So you need to be careful about that. And in being careful about that, what is your best ally is knowledge. Knowledge about how forests work, how domains work, and how they actually serve as a security boundary. And for some of that information, I reference you back to some of the material that was touched on in previous tutorials, specifically the 294 tutorial for the MCSE.